previously.
Understand what we are doing on earth, we must increase our knowledge and understanding of the world. Suppose we put an elephant in a dark room and there are 4 people who have never seen an elephant. We bring each of these people one by one into that dark room and each of them notices a part of the elephant. A person understands only the ears of that and imagines that elephant is a creature with only big ears.
And all people on earth will be blessed through you.
Abraham, whose name means father of the merciful or father of the nation. According to official statistics, 57% of the world's population belongs to Abrahamic religions. Knowing him is a good starting point to understand monotheistic thinking and provides many rational reasons. In fact, he is the only one who provides solid reasons to defend the truth. His birthplace is today's Iraq, in the Zagros region of Iran, and it's possible that he was Iranian, although the Torah says that his place of birth is Ur of the Chaldeans, but the Chaldeans arose 2,000 years after him. Not everyone in his family was a monotheist. Among his relatives, they also believed in several gods, such as a man named Azar, which is a Persian name that could be his uncle or father-in-law, and this Persian name means fire. Due to these facts, it's more possible that he was Iranian. Also, the root of the word Abraham can also be Persian, from Barham, meaning the father of all, and Arabicized to Barham, making it plural, such as Elo and Elohim to Brahim. And there is another theory like Ab means father in Arabic and Hebrew, and Rahim means kind. He was a person who thought a lot about the creation of the heavens and the earth. And he was in the region Mesopotamia, the mother of civilization. And he traveled to Palestine to spread his thought. Palestine was geographically the center of 3 continents: Europe like Turkey and Syria, Asia like Babylon, and Africa like Egypt. He used to observe different tribes and nations and investigate their cultures. One day, he saw people worshipping the stars. He entered the gathering and started worshipping the stars like them. When suddenly morning came and the stars disappeared, he reasoned and told them, "What kind of God is this that disappeared? It goes and it doesn't exist. I don't like the God like that." This argument raised doubts in the heart of the others. Then he met the moon worshippers. The moon had more light and bigger size, and in appearance he said, "This is my God." But after its sunset in the morning, Abraham said, "I hope my God will guide me so that I will not be among the misguided." And among the sun worshippers, in the morning the sun shone its light on the earth and gave life, but in the evening he said to them, "I hate what you associate with God." He continued, "These stars and things whose place is changing must have a creator to govern them and make them move. He said that I worship the God who created the heavens and the earth, and I hate several gods." When he lived in Babylon, the rumors of his deviance from star, moon, and sun worship had spread. One day, when the people had gone out of the city for a ritual, He excused himself from illness and violated the rule of going with them and stayed alone in the city. When the city was deserted, he entered the idol house of the city and smashed all the idols with an axe. Leaving only the big idol, and put that axe in his hand. When the people came back to the city and found out about the story, they tried to find who did this, and they finally said, "This is the work of a young man named Abraham." They summoned Abraham in front of everyone and questioned him and asked, "Did you do this to our gods?" Abraham said, "Maybe this was done by that idol, and if you don't agree, ask him himself, so that if he has the power to speak, he will tell who made the idols like this." After hearing his answer, the people thought deeply and said humbly, "You know that these idols are not able to speak." Then he said, "Do you leave God and worship these idols, which are inanimate, useless, and harmful? Shame on you! Don't you really think? And you worship the things that you carve with your own hands, and you are not ready to worship God, who is your creator and the creator of all your artifacts." People said, "We should burn him and support our gods." For this purpose, they built a big firehouse and lit an inferno from the fire, and in this work to satisfy the gods. They all participated in the effort, and when the fire ignited, they threw Abraham into the fire. But the Abraham's creator cooled the fire for him and kept him healthy in the middle of the fire, and nullified the conspiracy of the infidels. He also met with the king of Babylon, Nimrod, and addressed and protested him, who claimed to be God, and said to him, "My God is the one who makes the servants live and dies." Nimrod said, "I also give life and death. I release any of the captives and prisoners whom I want, and I kill whomever I want." Abraham protested in order to block the path of error and said, "God Almighty is the one who brings the sun out from the east. If you are telling the truth, from now on, make the sun rise from the west." Here Nimrod got confused and stunned. He's talking about God, Elohim or Allah. Of course, the word El was used for the name of the creator among the peoples, like El was among the Hebrews. In fact, they all originate from the same root, El, Elohim, Allah, Allah. It talks about the common enemy of man, Satan. He says about talking to God, tells about the rules of the earth, sky, stars, from the life after death, from the rewards and sins of man on earth. It talks about the creation of world and manner of human creation, about other messengers like himself. And here a wind of truth pens for us. He said he learned everything from his God. He founded a religion that has deep and solid foundation, despite the fact that himself said, "I rebuilt the religion." His way of thinking and his opinion along with his action is a sign of his faith in what he thinks and says. All the issues that we discussed in the last episodes have already been defined in the circle of Abraham's thought. We said about a creator who is a different type than the creature. He also said the same thing. He says that his creator is the creator of the heavens and earth, and he is everywhere, like what we said in our example, and other things like that. He had no children until old age, and in old age he had 2 children. The first child was Ishmael, and the second was Isaac. Ishmael was born from a slave woman named Hajar, Isaac from a woman named Sarah. Judaism and Christianity rose from Isaac, and Islam from Ismail. His first wife, Sarah, did not give birth to a child, so Sarah offered Abraham to give servant Hajar to Abraham in order to give birth to a child. But how? Abraham, who is about 90 years old and has no hair. When Sarah found out that Hajar was pregnant, she became jealous of her and asked Abraham to blame her. God ordered him to take Ishmael and Hajar to a land in present-day Arabia called Becca or Mecca, which was a land without water and grass, and left them there with some water and food, and returned. Ishmael, who was a 6-month-old child, was crying because of thirst, and his mother was looking for water for him 7 times between 2 mountains called Safa and Marwa, after which he suddenly saw a spring boiling under Ishmael's feet. She scared and said Zam-Zam, which means stop flowing. Until now this spring is still boiling in Mecca. He's tested. One night, he dreams that he cuts his son's throat. This dream becomes a turning point and a strong difference between the 2 generations of Abraham's children, in such a way that most of Isaac's children consider that son to be Isaac, and most of Ismail's children consider that son to be Ismail. But why is there a disagreement? Because God has placed a special feature in the generation of that sacrificed boy, and promises the kingdom and rule over the earth, and the promises the abundance of their generation. So, wherever there is a power and government, people like to seize it and abuse it. But which child was actually sacrificed? We examine this according to the sources of each of these religions. It's written in Torah. But Abraham has 2 children, not 1. And secondly, if Abraham does not respect Ishmael and does not consider him as his son, well, this is against the Torah itself, because according to Deuteronomy, this rejects the opinion because Ishmael is the firstborn. And also in the Gospel of Barnabas, chapter 44, it confirms this issue. The Torah contains many differences in many versions, For example, the Samaritan Torah and the Jewish Torah have about 6,000 differences. On the other hand, we have hundreds of versions of the Bible that have differences in them. But there is only one version of the Quran in the whole world, and it's completely unique. So the possibility of distortion in the previous book is obviously higher. With this interpretation of the Quran clearly confirms that the child is Ishmael. In the Quran there is a chapter called Abraham, which in verse 39 specifies the order of Abraham's children. Not to mention, in the verses of the Quran, the order of words is observed. For example, the East should come first, then the West, Jews, then Christ, Jinn, then humans, and etc. Also in Surah Safat, verses 102, it gives the reward of the son who is sacrificed, and after his sacrifice, he gives the good news of Isaac's birth. The next reason is that in Genesis, God said, "Will give from Nile to Euphrates to the children of Abraham." Well, it's clear in the map that God fulfilled his promise, because all these countries are all Muslim and the children of Ishmael and Abraham. And the last thing, as we said before, God promised multiplication of Abraham's descendants to the numbers of stars. And on the other hand, the Israelites were always confined and did not marry anyone other than themselves. Also in Genesis 70, he promised a great nation and 12 leaders from the descendants of Ishmael. And according to the statistic, you can see the percentage of Jews and the percentage of Muslims, which is larger, and it forms a great nation. But who are those 12 leaders from Ishmael's generation? These 12 people are neither the 12 tribes of Israel nor the 12 apostles of Christ, because those 12 leaders are from the descendants of Ishmael, not Isaac. These 12 important persons were called Nasim or Nashim in the original Hebrew versions of Torah, actually have a higher degree than Nabi or prophet. Nasim is Hebrew and its meaning is formed from people, or in Arabic, Nas. They are responsible for controlling and guiding all human beings and universe. There are two main groups in the children of Ishmael in Islam, include Sunni and Shia. In the teaching of Shia, there are full names and characteristics of these 12 great men who are called Imams, and they are the 12 Imams and the children of the Prophet of Islam and his beloved daughter. So all these facts lead us to this conclusion: the sacrificed son was Ishmael. Abraham, after about 13 years, returns to his son and sees his son. He explains the story to him and asks for his opinion. 13 years old teenager says, "Do what you were ordered." This was a measure of his trust in his Creator. The Creator is wise, since he gave wisdom to Abraham. When Abraham prepares Ishmael, cut his throat. Abraham's knife doesn't cut Ishmael's throat at God's command. God tells Abraham to keep his hand. There is no need to sacrifice him. And God gives him a sheep to sacrifice. And it was Abraham's test that Abraham became proud. And this day is a great day for all the followers of Abraham. Muslims call this day Eid al-Adha. Then after that, they rebuilt a building called Kaaba, which is a holy place in Becca or Mecca, and there is a part there called the place of Abraham. We will discuss about Kaaba in next episodes. Finally, he died in Palestine, but the story of his path remains. From now on, we will make him and his thoughts as our intellectual base for continuing the human path, and we will call him and his allies prophets as messengers and containing an important message to whole of humanity.